Right, here we are in the second season of my web series. Can't believe I'm already in season 2. And before I say anything else, I want to thank Meg for the last episode that she did, the FanFic Critic Freakout episode, because the little gag that she did in the beginning where she was being like a FNAF jump scare, well, that inspired me to have a very bizarre dream last night. It was literally Five Nights at Freddy's, but all the animatronics were replaced with Meg. So the Freddy version of Meg was Meg with a top hat, a bow tie, and a microphone. The Bonnie version of her was just her with no eyebrows. The Chica version, for the most part, it looked like Meg, but she had the Let's Eat bib, and she had a cupcake, and she was all like that. And I don't... was she wearing glasses? No, she was wearing glasses. And then the Foxy version of her, she wasn't wearing glasses. She had an eye patch, she had a hook for her hand, and she was wearing very raggy clothing, which I guess that was supposed to represent Foxy's dilapidated appearance. So, what was creepy about the dream was near the end. You know how in nights 4 and 5, when Freddy gets too close to the door, you see his face in the camera, and it's like up close and stuff like that? Well, that happened with Meg. So, me in the dream, which was a security guard, because the dream literally was like if you were playing Five Nights at Freddy's. So I bring the camera up, you see Meg, and it's doing the Freddy laugh, but it's like Meg's voice instead of Freddy's, but it was like in slow motion, so it was really creepy. And then as soon as I flipped the camera down, the jump scare of him like coming up to the side like, like that, and then I woke up. Yes, and I must have had a look on my face, because when, Meg came across me a little bit later, she's like, "You okay, Sue?" And I'm like, "Oh yes, I just need to make some coffee." So, Meg, if you're watching this, that's why I was a little, well, by the time you watch this will be like a few days later, so. But anyway, that's why I was a little wigged out. But yes, it was a rather entertaining dream, to say the least. Right, let's move on to the actual episode. So, normally, when I read stories out loud, I tend to do it because, A, the creator's forcing me to because of them being bad and they're under 3,000 words. Or B, I might read it out loud because, like, for example, when I tried to read that Super Smash Brothers fanfic, I read that one out loud because when I was trying to read it in my head, I just couldn't because it was so illegible, if you know what I mean. Well, this story today is actually a good story. I've already read it, but it's only 1,000 words, like a little over 1,000 words, and I feel like it's a bit too short to just do a summarized review. Now, normally if a story is too short to do a summarized review, I do like a 2-story review. But the other fanfic that I have lined up in my requests is different than this story. Like, this one's a Fault in Our Stars fanfic, where the other story is a Guardians of the Galaxy fanfic, so the two would not mesh at all. So today I'm going to be reading this story out loud, and then I'll give my final opinions on it, and then ask you guys what you think in the comments. I haven't seen Fault in Our Stars, so I'm not sure if the people are in character in this story, but I did feel like the story was well written, and I'll get more onto that after we do the reading. So let's not waste any more time. So this story is called Finem. The author is Rambles. Here's a summary. Finem. To the end. At the end of the page, Augustus is dead. Hazel Grace is far from it. We all know what happened to Gus, but what happened to Hazel afterwards? There is always an end and a beginning, and I think everyone deserves to get one. Epilogue to The Fault in Our Stars. It's rated Fiction K, it's in English, it's angst, it's Augustus and Hazel for the characters, has a word count of 1,034 words, 16 reviews, 11 faves, 8 follows. It was published back in January of 2014. Finem. To the end. At the end of the page. I think everyone deserves an ending. It doesn't have to be a happy ending. Just an ending nonetheless. My story didn't end after Augustus's death. It continued, flourishing, breathing, living. Nothing was different. I still had to struggle for breath and haul my oxygen tank everywhere with me. I still woke up in the same room, my mom shaking me awake. I still excused sleeping as battling cancer. Isaac and I remained friends. I watched TV every day like a normal teenage girl. I still had checkups at the hospital. My parents still stared at me with despairing sorrow in their eyes. Things were different. Augustus was dead. I was depressed, despite my denial to my parents and myself. I hadn't contacted Peter Van Houten since Gus's death, and I wasn't sure I wanted to either. My parents no longer looked at me like I was a useless daughter with no life. They looked at me with pride glistening in their eyes. There were no more witty texts between us, no more okays. Our story was over. There was no more Augustus and Hazel. There was only Hazel, only me, but mine was yet to begin. I wanted my story to end already. I didn't particularly want to live, even though I could still hear Augustus's letter ringing in my ears, still see his words about hope and what a good life it was. I could feel life flourishing through me. Inhale, exhale. He wanted me to live. I didn't want to live. I wanted to live. I wanted to consider my choices, my options, but I already had forever. Gus had given me forever within the numbered days between us. There was no point, really. I didn't apply to colleges. Like before, there was no point. I wouldn't last that long. My lungs were getting worse. I was sick of feeling so weak and vulnerable. How many times would I have to feel the pangs of pain hitting my chest before I finally perished? The feeling that resembled cotton balls getting jammed into my chest and throat. My usually normal breathing turned ragged and hoarse. I always thought that breathing was a struggle before. Compared to this raging pain, it was like stubbing your toe. That's the thing about pain. It demands to be heard. The doctor told me I only had 1 month left. I lived for another year. Another long, agony-filled year. Such horrible irony. When I received the news, my parents were a mess. Me, I was content, peaceful. I felt like I'd already lived my life. I accepted it as putting on a bandage. A month passed, then another. They told me I was lucky. That wasn't my definition of fortunate. I defined it as torture. I was so close to Augustus, and then I was so far away. My breathing, deep and even, a gentle snuffing of air through my nose, but gradually as the years went by it became a wheezing and whining sound interspersed with violent trembling of the body. The tone of my breathing became. The tone of my breathing became higher, but it took on a raspy, scrappy, spluttering noise, lips trembling with every breath, each outlet of air, the intake of fluttering, as my lungs struggled to infiltrate my constricted throat to feed the heaving lungs and palpitating heart. Okay. I'm okay. Okay, he said after forever. Maybe okay will be always. Okay, I said. Okay. This had to be some kind of sick, twisted joke in God's eye. Why wasn't I dead yet? I'm being selfish. Any other dying person would gladly take my miracle. So give it to them. Let me die. I still like my choices. This is one of my choices. I sometimes consider just disconnecting my oxygen tank, but I know he wouldn't want me to. There isn't a day that goes by with me wishing I had died first. Dear Gus, you told me that you hope I like my choices. I do. I truly do. I love being able to live in these extra moments with my parents, Isaac, and everyone else I care about. But I also care about you. Nearly 4 years later, you expect me to move on, right? I still visit your grave every week, sometimes twice a week, sometimes every day. I set some cigarette packs beside the stone. People give me odd looks. Let them stare. They don't know about us. I would tell you that I miss you, more than anything. But I figured that would sound cliché and too melodramatic, even if it isn't dramatic at all. Okay. I have my choices. I love them. But I always have the choice of death, and it's always on my shoulder, waiting for the opportune moment to stop my breathing. It's a heavy burden to keep. I like my choices, Augustus, but I'm not sure I'm going to use them. Okay? Love, Hazel Grace. I think everyone deserves an ending. There's a beginning, so there has to be an ending. It's inevitable. Death. Life. My ending hasn't come yet, and I'm still patiently waiting. I'm not invincible. One day will be my last. Everyone dies. But no one gets choices the way I did. No one got to have always with a person like I did. No one got to have okay with a person. and I'm thankful for that. No one. And that's how it ends. Here's the author's note. AM. Ending was intentional. Reviews are greatly appreciated. And for those of you who have not read The Fault in Our Stars, read it. It is one of the most amazing books I have ever read, and I will always hold it dear to my heart. It changes the perspective of life, and words cannot describe it. I feel that everyone gets their own feeling/interpretation of the book, so I'm not going to explain what I felt reading review. You know, this story, I felt like it was very well written, and it does make you think about how fragile life can be. And, you know, it also gives you the point of view of someone who is terminal. You know, there's nothing else that can be done. They are going to die no matter what. And, you know, this person wanting to die, you don't blame them. It's not just because of them losing Augustus, but, you know they're going to be dying, and the story pretty much implies that they're suffering. Cancer is not a pleasant thing. Well, I hope you guys liked today's episode. Let me know what your thoughts are on the story, and let me know for those who have read or seen The Fault in Our Stars movie, if this story was in character or not. Well, if you liked today's episode, please be sure to leave a like and leave a comment, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I would greatly appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next episode. Until then, cheerio.